Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah. So this is gonna be this month's this monthly wrap up of October. I think putting this up a little bit like the first week of November, but this is definitely all of the books I read in October. I got back into reading a lot more frequently. I've gotten into books that I really enjoyed, which we obviously will be talking about. I'm so excited to show you the books that I read this month. I have a few really good ones, but before we start, we are going to be talking about book of the month because you guys know how much I love book of the month. So before I tell you about them, if you don't know anything about them, we'll get into that. But this is what a book comes in. So you have a little blue box that says book of the month. You give it an open and then there's a book inside. I have so many fun books to talk about right now. So book of the month is a super popular and fast growing online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors, which is one thing I absolutely love about them, and just help readers discover books that they love. So basically their team vets hundreds of books each month and gives their readers the choice from curated selections of new releases, new books, hardcover books, which is also amazing. And basically what they say is you can spend more time reading, less time researching and searching for books, which is amazing. Gives you so much more time to read. They also have a skip policy, so they are completely risk-free. You can skip any month at any time. You will not be charged. So if you have some books that you need to catch up on, you can skip that month. And they have the best prices for new hardcover releases. You can use my code SARACARROLLI and get your first book for just $9.99. So the book that I chose this month is something that I don't normally go for, but here is this little hardcover. It's Emily, I don't know how to say her last name, but Emrata, if you know her on like Instagram and stuff. She's a model, like all that stuff, but she has a book. It's called My Body. It's just about all of her sexuality, her feminism, like everything about her, because being a model in that kind of industry. She talks about that. I am so excited for this one, but I do want to talk about the other books that I have in here. So the first one, A Little Hope by Ethan Joella. So this is basically about a little community, neighborhood of friends, their lives, hopes, all of that, kind of just like a well-rounded book about themes of lives and people. So this one is probably one that people can really connect to because it's more realistic fiction. And then I got this one, Will Smith's book. So this one is basically a memoir about his life, which I am so excited about this one. And then I got The Collective by Allison Galen. So this one is about a mother whose daughter died and she thinks that this one guy did it, kind of like that kind of mystery type of thing. Then I got How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days. This one is by K.M. Jackson. This girl has 90 days to break up the wedding of the man she wants to be with. That kind of vibe, which is very fun, very fitting. I love romances and we know that, so that's a very fun book. Then we have The Keeper of the Night by Kylie Lee Baker. I don't read books like this, so that's what I love about Book of the Month. You can get books that you don't typically read. She has to find and eliminate 3 dangerous demons, help from her brother. That seems kind of interesting, kind of fun. And then my last one is The Family by Naomi Krupitsky, I believe you say it. 2 girls, best friends since birth. One of their fathers disappears. Whole thing happens. That just sounds so interesting. Another little mystery to go off of. That's all I got from Book of the Month. Don't forget you can use my code SARACARROLLI, get your first book $9.99. Now we're gonna get into the books that I read, which I'm so excited. I have my computer right here because, as you guys know, I write them in my notes as I'm reading them, like my thoughts and stuff, because after I read a book, if I don't immediately write down what I'm thinking and like what it's about and everything, like pieces, like they fall out and I literally just forget. I have to like be like caught up on it. So when I reread my notes, I'm like, okay, that's what I thought about it. So that's where we are right now. Okay, we're starting with The Love Hypothesis. I talked about this in my last book video, I believe, but this book, I saw it, like I said, on TikTok. One person, that's all it took. They were just hyping it up so much and I was like, wait, I have this book from Book of the Month. I haven't read it yet, so whipped it out, and that's the book that got me right into just like reading and loving reading again, because like I said, September was a little bit rough month reading and picking good books, but this book was phenomenal. You've probably seen it all over now. I gave it a 5 out of 5. It was just so amazing. So basically it's about, I think her name's Olive. She was dating this guy for a little. She didn't really like him that much, and her best friend Anne wants to date him, and to prove that she's over him, Olive ends up just kissing the first person she sees. So both of them are in grad school. They're becoming like kind of like a doctor thing, so they're in like a campus scenery, and she kisses the first person, and that person that she ends up kissing is Dr. Carlson, who's a professor at the school. It's basically like an academia fake relationship type of thing. So to keep her friend Anne from knowing that Dr. Carlson's not her real boyfriend, they like end up having an agreement to fake date until specific time. I don't remember what it was, but they end up fake dating, and you know how that goes. I never read that kind of love trope in academia type of book, and I just was so obsessed with it. Just the way they were in the same field of things and the way they talked about it sometimes, like it was amazing. I loved all of the main characters, and when I like envisioned it, I could just picture it like a movie, like one kind of just like a Netflix original type of love movie. I don't know, it was just so amazing. I loved the age gap that they have. It wasn't like a huge age gap, but like it was like he was older, and like it's one of those tropes where he hates everyone but her, and you can just tell he's so mean to all of his students. It was like the most like perfect slow burn too. I feel like it wasn't dragging on too long, and they weren't including parts that were unnecessary, which I feel like when it's like such a slow burn, there's some parts that are just like, they try to make it such a slow burn where it's just like, just kiss already, or like just reveal your love for each other. But this one, like the events that were happening, it like just made sense, and it just made the ending that much better. I loved it so much. Okay, next I read Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I gave this a I think I gave this a 4 out of 5. When I read it on my Kindle, it's Kindle Unlimited if you have a Kindle, so you get it for free. But if you don't like Penelope Douglas writing, I don't recommend it. I also don't recommend if you don't like big age gaps, because that is exactly what this is. So basically it's about Pike and I forgot her name. She is dating Pike's son, who is just a horrible guy. He doesn't really care for her. They were just together because they've been together for a while and something happened, so they were just like, it was convenient for them. She moves in with Pike, his dad obviously, and her boyfriend because they need somewhere to stay. They got kicked out of their apartment, and the boyfriend is just like not involved. He's always out with his friend. It's just not the right situation, so she gets close to Pike, who is, I'm pretty sure he's like 39, and I'm pretty sure she's, is it 19? Big age gap, that's all I know. First of all, I like the dual point of view, because since he's so old, I like seeing what he's thinking of this whole situation and what she's thinking, and just like you can see what they're thinking about each other, and you're just like, somehow it makes sense. I liked the dynamic between the two of them. Before I read it, I was like, this is gonna be so weird, because I knew that they get together. But I don't know, I feel like after reading Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas, I understood how she writes and stuff, so it wasn't as bad. I don't know, I didn't think I'd like it, and I felt like it would be like cringe or wrong, and it just like, it would feel weird reading it. It just made sense why they were connecting. I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, I loved it so much. There were some parts that were just like a little too much, or just a little like, I guess cringy. I don't know, not for me. That's why I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I ended up loving it so much more than I thought I would, so I recommend it. Give it a chance. Don't go into it hating it or just like thinking you'll hate it. Just literally just give it a chance. Another one on my Kindle, which was another Kindle Unlimited, was The Wall of Winnipeg. So I've seen this all over before. I've never also read sports kind of romances or anything in like that kind of field, so this was the first one I read. And basically it's about, I forgot their names again, I'm very bad with names after I read books, but she is his assistant. He is an NFL star, like think of like Tom Brady. He's like #1. He's a huge guy and just a big football star, and she is his assistant. She just like runs errands for him, does his stuff for him, like does everything for him, and he is such a dick to her. He is so mean to her for absolutely no reason. She doesn't understand why, so eventually she just gets the courage to quit, ends up going back working for him. Something like that happens, and it's just somewhere along the way they connect. But what I didn't like about it was I felt like he just randomly flipped a switch. I didn't like how in the beginning he was so mean to her, didn't speak to her, there was no words that come out of his mouth, and all of a sudden he's just like this whole new person. But you can see that he kind of needed her when she quit, so it kind of makes sense. But I don't know, I didn't love it. I rated it a 3 out of 5. It was the slowest burn ever. At some points I couldn't read it because it was just like not a lot of talking and more just dialogue in her head of what she was thinking and stuff, so I didn't like love it. Sometimes when she was talking to his roommate Zach, I was like, they should have ended up together. He loved her, he was so nice to her. Even though it was painfully slow, I loved the relationship for the emotional part, because some books they like do physical things before the emotional part kind of connects and develops, so I liked that a lot. I liked the character development. Some parts were really wholesome, but I don't know, I didn't love it. It was okay, but it's a good romance. Like, it wasn't the best though. Then I read Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Can you see my smile right now? I rated this 5 out of 5. This book, if you haven't read this book, I think you need to read it like right now. I'm gonna read this maybe 100 more times and I'll probably still cry and still think it's the most beautiful, best book in the entire world. I love this book. Macy and Elliot, so they grew up, her mom died and her dad ended up getting a little cabin house, and the next door neighbor was Elliot. They ended up going in her closet and just like reading from when they were like babies. They had this really great connection. They were best friends. It's giving off very much Poppy and Rune, 1,000 Boy Kisses vibes. Just as soon as it started, I was hooked so quick because it flashes back from them being best friends, connecting and all of that, so young together, and then fast forward 11 years later, they're no longer in each other's lives, which also gives off People We Meet on Vacation vibes, because it's kind of like that. I love how they got right into it, the plot and what was happening, instead of like dragging out like the history and stuff. Like they just kind of threw it in there so you understood everything. I love the flashbacks. It's one of my favorite things in books, like seeing the dynamic and stuff. And it was told through more of a dialogue than of just like internal thoughts and stuff, which I like a lot. I like when they're dialogue and them talking to each other and talking things out. Like I love that. Like some books there's like too much like thoughts and like feelings and stuff, which is also good, but like I love when they're like talking to each other, and they did a lot. You can just feel their connection. It's incredible. You need to read this book. I am such a hopeless romantic, so when they got to their first kiss when they were younger, I was like freaking out. It was so good. When it flashes back 11 years later, she's like engaged, she like isn't loving her life. It's like great, you know, it's just kind of like that. And then he comes back and it's just like so good. You need to read this. If you haven't read it right now. Okay, and then I read Confess by Colleen Hoover. You guys know what I'm gonna say about this because it's Colleen Hoover. Read this in 24 hours. I'm not even kidding. I could not put it down. I think I gave Love in Other Words 5 out of 5. I think I gave this, yeah, I'm pretty sure I gave this 5 out of 5. I love this book. I feel like this is very underrated for Colleen. I like the dual point of views it has in it. It has both sides. Basically, this girl was dating this guy and he ended up dying very young, and his family was just so mean, and she ends up working for this other guy who is an artist and stuff. His place is called Confess, where he gets people's confessions and he paints them into pictures, which is really cool. And he kind of like knows her. It gives off very You vibes, the show, because he's like, in his point of view, it's like he's seen her before, he knows of her. I tried to guess too how he knew her, and Colleen does it. You can't figure it out. But she's kind of wrapped up in the old boyfriend who passed away, his family, so it's kind of like that. Like a whole thing, and everyone's like connected somehow. Colleen does it every time. I'm not even kidding. I don't know how she does it, but she is just my favorite author ever. She does no wrong in my eyes. I don't know how she does it to me. But this is, again, so underrated. Apparently there's a show for it too, which I haven't watched yet, but I really want to watch it because I loved this book so much. I like have no words. She's just a genius, Colleen. Amazing book. Read it now if you have not read this one yet. So the last two, I don't have the first one with me, but I have this one with me. I started reading the Off-Campus series. I'm like 10 pages away from being on the third book. I read these in like a week. The Deal was first, which was between Garrett and Hannah. I'm loving this series. I'm just gonna give you a brief overview of the series, I guess, because it's just like another sports book, which I don't know how I got into, but this is one that's hockey. They go to Briar University, and each book is about a different person in the series and in the stories and like their point of views. So the first one was Garrett. He lives in a house with his hockey player roommates, so it's kind of like each book deals with one of those, and then like their love interest kind of, and you see them all together in each book, which is amazing. You don't have to read them all in the series. You can read them as standalones, which is also amazing. I don't know which one I liked better. I think I like the second one better with Logan and Grace, just because I already knew everyone and it's kind of fun. The first one was getting to know everyone a little bit more. But The Deal, I rated 4 out of 5. The Mistake is a 4 out of 5. I'm loving them. I didn't give it a 5 out of 5 because it kind of feels a little bit cheesy sometimes, but what I do love is how Elle Kennedy writes about the college students. Like I feel like she's getting it like so on point. I don't know about the boy point of view, but like I can like feel it, like how they think and how they react to things. Like she's not holding anything back. Like she's basically just like, that's how college kids think and act and do things, and I just feel like she's very on point with that. Garrett and Hannah, I loved their relationship so much. Like that was just like a perfect little slow burn hate relationship with their like sarcasm and stuff. Logan and Grace, the second one, I felt like it was like too good to be true a little bit, but I don't know. I love when he was fighting for her. They're kind of realistic and not too cheesy or like try hard or anything, especially being in like the college scenery, which I love. The Mistake though, the second one, is a little bit hot and heavy, like a little too early on, but it kind of makes sense when you go from the first one to the second one. It's like we understand what's gonna happen. But yeah, I don't know how I felt about Logan in the beginning of the second one too, but I felt like I have a soft spot for him. I don't know. Those are all the books that I read. This was a good month of reading. I'm so excited for November and what I'm gonna read then. I'm already gonna finish Off-Campus. I'm probably gonna read Briar U maybe, and then I want to read the Addicted series because literally everyone is telling me you have to read it, so maybe we'll get there. But I just want everyone to be happy for me that I got this book and then I read it and I loved it, and it's just like, oh, best book ever. So that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. My Goodreads is linked down below. Everything you need from this video is linked in the description or just written out in the description, so definitely go down there if you need any information. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to see more from me in the future, and I will see you guys hopefully in the next one. Bye.